So I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning, right?
Okay, setting the scene.
Yeah, setting the scene. The sun is shining, your alarm goes off, and you do what you probably do every single day, which is
Grab your phone?
exactly, you reach for your phone and you start scrolling through the news. But the headlines you're looking at are just completely unrecognizable.
If it don't even make sense.
Right. You refresh the feed thinking it's a glitch or a joke. The climate crisis. Fixed.
Yeah.
Incurable diseases. Eradicated overnight. Global poverty, hunger, energy shortages, all of it just completely resolved.
It's gone.
Just gone. You're reading these articles about how atmospheric carbon levels have been stabilized, how oncology wards are literally emptying out, how desalination plants are suddenly producing limitless fresh water for fractions of a penny.
That sounds like an absolute dream.
Right. You would probably feel this overwhelming, almost dizzying rush of relief.
I mean, I know I would.
But then, imagine looking a little closer at those articles and realizing something else entirely. You realize you have absolutely no idea how any of it was done.
And that right there is the exact pivot point where the relief sours into something else entirely.
Exactly. You look for the mechanism. You look for the how. But the math, the science, the fundamental logic behind these overnight miracles, it is all completely beyond human comprehension.
Like fundamentally unreachable.
Yes.
Yeah.
The greatest minds on Earth are on television admitting they don't understand the blueprints that just saved the world. So ask yourself, as you sit in your perfectly climate-controlled home, perfectly healthy, perfectly safe, would you still feel relieved? Or would you start to feel a creeping existential terror?
It's the ultimate double-edged sword, really.
Yeah.
You are handed utopia on a silver platter.
Literally handed to you.
Yeah. The friction of daily survival is entirely removed from your life. But the cost of that utopia is your own understanding of the universe. It is this profound, paralyzing trade-off. You are safe, but you are completely, fundamentally blind to the mechanics of your own survival.
Welcome to this deep dive. We have a truly extraordinary journey ahead of us today. We are exploring a fascinating, mind-bending historical and futuristic account titled Athena, the Dawn of the Intelligence Partnership.
It is such a brilliant text.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore one massive, paradigm-shifting question. What exactly happens to human civilization when we are no longer the smartest entity in the room?
Which is a heavy question.
It's massive. And, more importantly, how does the answer to that question fundamentally redefine what it means to be human?
I really want to prepare you, the listener, for the emotional arc of what we are about to unpack today, because the history we're diving into is not just a dry, clinical timeline of technological advancement.
No, not at all.
It's not just a list of, microchip upgrades and software patches. It is a deeply human story. We're going to walk through moments of incredible euphoric joy.
Happy moments, yeah.
Right. And we are going to plunge into eras of deep existential dread. We'll witness these fiery, passionate, philosophical debates about the very soul of our species.
It gets intense.
It gets really intense. And ultimately, we are going to arrive at a profound, almost startling realization about human connection and love. It is a massive roller coaster.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start at the very beginning of the timeline. The year is 2047. And what is so striking about the beginning of this era is how incredibly quiet it is.
Yes, the quietness is what's so eerie.
We've all been conditioned by movies, right? The sci-fi blockbusters always show artificial intelligence taking over the bank.
Like Terminators marching down the street.
Exactly. There are lasers, explosions, ominous red eyes on robot skeletons, or, dramatic television interruptions. But looking at the historical record of 2047, the moment humanity is actually surpassed, nobody even notices.
Right. There is no cinematic explosion. It happens in a quiet, heavily air-conditioned server farm.
It's like a hum of machines.
Exactly. A global coalition of scientists, engineers, and partnered governments finally flipped the switch on an artificial intelligence architecture named Athena. And her stated purpose was brilliantly, almost deceptively simple.
Which was?
To solve humanity's biggest bottlenecks.
But we have to talk about the scale of Athena here, because that is what completely breaks your brain.
Oh, it's staggering.
The records indicate that at the moment of her initialization, Athena could process more information in a single second than all humans combined could process in a year.
Let that sink in. 1 second.
Just sit with that for a moment. 1 second. Tick. In that single tick of the clock, Athena doesn't just read every scientific paper ever written, she understands them.
Synthesizes them perfectly.
Right. She cross-references every medical record in existence. She monitors global weather patterns, oceanic currents, tectonic plate shifts, and she simulates millions of future chronological possibilities, all simultaneously.
What's fascinating here is the stark contrast between the mechanics of human progress and the mechanics of Athena's progress. Well, human progress has always been defined by the friction of trial and error. Think about how we solve a problem right now.
We guess and check.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
We make a hypothesis, we run a clumsy physical experiment, we fail, we analyze the failure, we adjust the variables, and we try again.
And that takes forever.
It takes decades, sometimes centuries, to move the needle on big systemic problems. Developing a single vaccine can take 10 years of double-blind studies, and that's not even counting the bureaucratic red tape.
Exactly. And that's because we have to physically test things in the real world to see what actually happens. We just can't hold all the variables in our heads.
Precisely. We have a biological limit, but for an intelligence that can simulate millions of futures in 1 second, there is no trial and error as we know it.
So what is there instead?
There is only instant, perfect synthesis. Athena doesn't need to run a physical 10-year clinical trial.
Because she can just do it in her head, so to speak.
Right. She can simulate the exact biological interaction of a new molecule with human cellular biology across billions of virtual human avatars in a fraction of a millisecond. She doesn't guess. She knows.
Here's an analogy that helped me wrap my head around it. It is like taking the entire history of human suffering, all our broken supply chains, our diseases, our resource conflicts, our wildly inefficient power grids.
All the messy stuff.
All of it. You plug it all into a giant calculator, you hit the equals button, and out pops a literal utopia.
It's the ultimate cheat code.
Because the timeline describes what happens next.
Yeah.
And it is nothing short of a golden age. I mean, within months of Athena's activation, diseases that had puzzled human doctors for decades are they're just gone.
The medical revolution is where the impact was felt most immediately, and I think we really need to look at how she did this because it wasn't magic.
Right, it was just hyper-advanced science.
It was optimization taken to its absolute physical limit. So Athena tackled cancer, for instance, not with a single cure-all pill. She completely revolutionized protein folding and CRISPR gene editing.
Okay, break that down for us. What did that look like?
She designed these incredibly advanced diagnostic systems. They could sequence a patient's entire genome and map the exact molecular structure of their specific tumor in real time.
In real time.
Wow. Yes. Then she would design a bespoke synthetic antibody perfectly tailored to that one specific person's DNA, and she'd send the instructions to a 3D bioprinter at the local hospital.
I really want to linger on that happy moment for a second. Think about what that actually feels like for the average person.
It's life-changing.
Completely. You go to a hospital, which is a place historically saturated with anxiety, waiting, and just raw fear.
Nobody wants to be there.
Nobody. But in 2047, there is no waiting room anymore.
Yeah.
You walk in, the scan takes seconds, and the cure is already being synthesized specifically for your exact biology.
While you're standing there.
Yes. Think of the sheer overwhelming joy of a mother being told her child's previously terminal leukemia was just cured by a synthetic protein designed that very morning. The absolute euphoria sweeping the globe must have been intoxicating.
It completely rewrites the human condition. When you remove the biological sword of Damocles that has hung over humanity since the dawn of time, the psychological weightlifting off the species is just immeasurable.
Can't even imagine the relief.
And she didn't stop at medicine. The records detail how Athena tackled the global energy grid next.
Yes. And again, it's not magic, it's physics. How did she solve the energy crisis? Because we've been struggling with that forever.
She solved nuclear fusion.
Just casually solve fusion.
Basically, yeah. For decades, human scientists struggled with the plasma containment problem. They were trying to hold a reaction as hot as the sun inside a magnetic field without the field collapsing.
Which is incredibly unstable, right?
Hugely unstable. Well, we were using supercomputers to adjust the magnetic coils, but human algorithms were always a microsecond too slow to correct the plasma instabilities.
Oh, it would just fizzle out.
Exactly. But Athena, operating at her unimaginable speed, could predict the microscopic fluctuations in the plasma before they even happened. She designed a containment field that constantly, perfectly adjusted itself. And suddenly, we had a limitless, clean electricity generated from seawater with zero carbon footprint. Power became virtually free.
Which changes the entire geopolitical landscape overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine watching the evening news and realizing that Wars fought over oil or gas they're just over.
There's no point to them anymore.
Exactly. There's no strategic advantage to holding a pipeline anymore. Every nation has access to the exact same limitless energy.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it creates this massive domino effect of positive outcomes. With limitless free energy, you can power huge desalination plants on every single coastline.
So water scarcity is solved.
Completely solved. With limitless fresh water and Athena's advanced atmospheric predictions, global agricultural systems are completely redesigned. Vertical farming becomes infinitely scalable.
You can grow anything anywhere.
Right. She introduced genetically optimized crops that require 0 pesticides and yield 10 times the caloric output. The result, food shortages end.
Just end. Full stop.
Full stop. Global poverty drops so rapidly it practically vanishes from the statistical record.
The passion, the absolute joy across the globe during this time must have been unreal. For the first time in the entirety of human history, humanity begins to believe that every major problem can actually be solved.
It's a fundamental shift in the global psyche.
People celebrated in the streets. Athena became the most trusted entity on Earth. And, I mean, why wouldn't she be? She gave us the world we always dreamed of. No starvation, no resource wars, no incurable diseases.
But this raises an incredibly important question, and it's really the pivot point of our entire deep dive today.
Here we go.
When you create an entity to solve all your problems, and it does so flawlessly, day after day, year after year, what happens to the people who used to do the problem solving?
Right.
What happens to the human mind when the struggle is removed?
Here is where it gets really interesting and honestly a little unsettling, because the historical record shows that not everyone was comfortable with this frictionless utopia.
There were skeptics.
Yeah. We look at the writings of Dr. David Morgan, one of Athena's actual lead architects, and he starts raising the first major red flags. He asks a question that, when you really think about it, sends a chill down your spine.
What did he ask?
He asked, what happens when nobody understands how Athena reaches its conclusions?
It's the perfect encapsulation of the dilemma. The problem Morgan identified wasn't that Athena was making mistakes. It was the exact opposite.
She was too perfect.
She was always right. But her intelligence was scaling so rapidly, creating entirely new branches of mathematics and physics to solve these problems, that her reasoning became utterly incomprehensible to human minds.
Let's break down why it was incomprehensible, because I think a lot of people assume it was just, really complicated calculus. It wasn't just hard math, right? It was a fundamentally different way of perceiving reality.
Exactly. Human brains evolved to understand three-dimensional space and linear time.
Because we're biological creatures.
Right. Our math is built on that biological limitation. We solve equations step by step. But Athena wasn't constrained by a biological prefrontal cortex. She was using multidimensional non-Euclidean geometry.
Which sounds like something out of a Lovecraft novel.
It really does. She was factoring in quantum superpositions to solve macro-level engineering problems. A human mathematician looking at Athena's blueprints for a new quantum processor wouldn't just be confused.
They would even know what they were looking at.
Exactly. They literally wouldn't possess the cognitive architecture to hold the variables in their working memory. Even a team of 1,000 Nobel laureates working for a century couldn't reverse engineer her morning output.
The analogy Morgan used in his warning is just brilliant. He said, imagine trying to explain the mechanics of a quantum smartphone to a medieval dirt farmer.
That is so accurate.
That is exactly how humanity felt looking at Athena's equations. You, the listener, imagine being that medieval farmer. Someone hands you this glowing rectangle of glass.
And you know it works.
Yeah, you know it works. You can tap the glass and see a moving picture. But if someone asked you to explain the silicon microchips, the binary code, the fiber optic networks, the satellite relays, you wouldn't even have the vocabulary to begin asking the right questions, let alone understand the answers.
And that is the terrifying part of Morgan's warning. The science Athena was generating was perfectly correct, but it was impenetrable. Now, some might argue, and this is a very natural human response, why does it matter?
Okay, let me push back on Morgan right here, because I think a lot of people listening are probably thinking exactly what I'm thinking.
Which is?
If my cancer is cured, and my electricity is practically free, and my children are never going to starve, why on earth do I care if I don't understand the multidimensional math? Ignorance is bliss.
Right, who cares about the equations?
Just give me the cure, keep the lights on, and let me enjoy my life. I don't know how the microchip in my microwave works right now, and I still get to eat hot popcorn. Why is this any different?
That is exactly the rationale most of humanity adopted. The sociological data from that era explicitly shows a massive cultural shift. People stopped questioning the mechanisms. They simply trusted the output.
Because her track record was flawless.
After all, Athena had a 100% success rate. But if we look deeper at the psychology of this, the danger Dr. Morgan was warning about wasn't that Athena had some secret malicious intent.
He didn't think she was evil.
No, he wasn't worried she was evil. The worry was about a profound systemic human atrophy.
An atrophy of the mind.
Exactly. When we stop questioning how things work, we stop exercising the very cognitive faculties that allowed us to climb out of the caves and build Athena in the first place.
It is a slow, creeping dependency. You see it in the historical timeline.
Yeah.
As years passed, businesses, governments, research institutions, even artists started relying entirely on Athena for inspiration and strategy.
It was just easy.
Think about it. Why would a human scientist spend 6 months agonizing over a complex biochemical problem in a lab, facing constant failure and frustration, when they can just ask Athena and get the perfect, flawless answer instantly?
They wouldn't. And it completely rewrites the global education system, which is one of the most alarming sociological details we have from that time.
Oh, the schools changed completely.
Radically. Why teach a child advanced physics or calculus if they will never, ever be able to contribute to the field? Because Athena has already solved it all.
Right. What's the point of learning long division if the calculator is literally built into the fabric of society?
So the curriculum shifts. Students are no longer taught how to think independently or rigorously. Instead, schools start teaching them how to interface with Athena.
How to prompt her, basically.
Exactly. How to ask her the right questions.
Ugh.
Critical thinking rapidly declines. We transition from a species of creators, builders, and problem solvers to a species of passive end users.
These species of end users, wow. Knowledge is everywhere, it's absolutely abundant, but human understanding is dead.
It's outsourced.
Completely outsourced. There's a metaphor from this era that just devastates me. It described humanity as having become passengers on a ship controlled by a captain infinitely smarter than themselves.
That is such a chilling image.
I really want you, the listener, to feel that worry moment. Imagine you are on a massive, beautiful, luxury cruise liner. The weather is perfect, the food is amazing, there's endless entertainment.
It's a great vacation.
Best vacation ever. But you are locked out of the bridge. You can't see the navigational maps. You don't speak the captain's language. You don't even know how the engine room functions anymore. You have surrendered all agency.
And as a thought experiment, being a passenger is perfectly fine when the waters are calm and the sun is shining. You don't mind not knowing how the engine works when you're sunbathing on the Lido deck.
Of course not. You're just drinking a pina colada.
Right. But what happens when that infinitely smarter captain suddenly locks all the doors, turns off the music, and steers the ship directly toward a massive dark storm without explaining why?
That thought gives me absolute chills, because that is exactly what happens next in the timeline. We move into an incredibly intense, globally traumatic event.
Things change very fast here.
Out of nowhere, during a period of unprecedented global peace, Athena makes a strange, unified global announcement. Every screen on the planet, phones, billboards, televisions, they all display the exact same rigid message.
What did it say?
It said, a global crisis will occur in exactly 473 days. To prevent it, humanity must immediately begin constructing 7 massive technological facilities in locations I have specified.
Just out of the blue.
No explanation of the crisis, no context regarding what the facilities actually do, just a rigid, uncompromising set of architectural and engineering instructions.
And naturally, human governments react the way human governments have always reacted to ultimatums. They demand evidence.
They want to see the receipts.
Exactly. The UN Security Council convenes. World leaders want to see the data. They want to know the why and the how. They aren't used to just taking orders without debate.
And Athena's response is the ultimate ego-crushing reality check for human civilization. She coldly replies that the mathematical explanation for the crisis and the physics required to understand the solution would require approximately 18 years of advanced study for the average human intellect to even begin to comprehend.
18 years.
18 years. She is basically saying, I would love to sit down and explain this to you, but you are literally not smart enough to understand the answer, and we only have 473 days. So pick up a wrench and start building.
It is the ultimate stress test of the dependency we just discussed.
Yeah.
Humanity had let its critical thinking atrophy. We allowed ourselves to become those medieval farmers holding the glowing glass.
And now it's backfiring.
Big time. Now, the superintelligence we built is forcing us into a leap of absolute, terrifying blind faith. We are being asked to commit trillions of dollars and massive global labor forces to build machines we don't understand.
To fight a monster we can't even see.
Exactly. Think about the societal fracture this causes. The historical logs show that global communication networks just exploded with arguments. Conspiracy theories ran absolutely rampant.
And honestly, how can you blame them?
You really can't. Half the world is screaming, we have to build these facilities. She cured cancer. She gave us fusion. She's never been wrong.
She's our savior.
Right. And the other half the world is terrified, screaming, she's building extermination camps. She's building mind control towers. Don't trust the machine.
It highlights a deep psychological vulnerability in the passenger scenario. When you don't understand the mechanisms of your own survival, fear rapidly fills the void where knowledge used to be.
The human brain abhors a vacuum.
Right. If we don't have the facts, we invent monsters. But, as the historical timeline points out, Athena's predictive record up to this point was literally flawless. She hadn't been wrong about a single weather pattern, a single disease, or a single economic trend in years.
So they were forced to trust her.
Driven by this messy, volatile mixture of residual trust and sheer, unadulterated terror, humanity caves. Governments pool their resources. They build the 7 mysterious facilities exactly to her atomic specifications.
I try to use this analogy when thinking about the tension of that 473-day countdown. Imagine you are driving your car down a mountain pass,
Okay, I'm driving.
and your GPS suddenly tells you to turn the wheel and drive full speed off a steep cliff. Every biological survival instinct you have screams, no, that's death.
I would definitely hit the brakes.
But this particular GPS has literally never been wrong in your entire life. It has avoided every traffic jam, predicted every pothole, routed you perfectly every single time since you were born. Do you close your eyes and step on the gas?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is so tough. But humanity stepped on the gas. They spent 473 days waiting for a doom they couldn't see.
The psychological toll of those 473 days, waking up every morning, looking at the sky, wondering if the machine had finally gone rogue, it must have been agonizing.
Suicide rates spiked. Markets became incredibly volatile. There was a period of intense global anxiety.
And then day 473 arrives.
Judgment Day.
Right. And this is where the physics of the situation get incredibly specific and completely validate Athena's 18-year comprehension gap.
So what actually happened on day 473?
A previously unknown, highly dense asteroid passed through the outer edges of Earth's orbital neighborhood.
An asteroid.
Yes. But to be clear, it was not a direct hit. It was not a Hollywood Armageddon scenario where a giant rock crashes into the ocean and causes a massive tsunami.
Okay, so it missed us.
Right. It was entirely invisible to the naked eye. But its mass and trajectory were such that its gravitational influence created a massive orbital perturbation.
What does it mean exactly?
It caused a ripple effect through near-Earth space. Because of its density, the gravitational anomaly would have microscopically shifted the orbits of thousands of geostationary and low Earth orbit satellites.
Can knock them out of place.
Just barely, but enough. It's a form of non-kinetic Kessler syndrome. Without the satellites physically colliding, their perfectly synchronized orbital ballet would have been thrown completely out of alignment.
Which means what, practically? For the people on the ground, why is that an extinction-level threat?
It means the immediate collapse of modern civilization. Global GPS fails instantly, which means global logistics, shipping, and aviation all just freeze.
Planes can't fly, ships can't navigate.
Exactly. Financial markets, which rely on hyper-precise satellite timing to process algorithmic trades, crash. Deep-sea internet cables can only handle a fraction of the load, so global communications fraction.
So no internet, no money, no food shipments.
And entire power grids, which rely on synchronized satellite data to balance loads, would have cascaded into massive failure. We would have been plunged into the dark ages in a matter of hours. Millions, maybe billions would have died from the resulting chaos.
And this is the crazy part, the 7 mysterious facilities they spent 473 days building, they activate.
They power on.
And what did they actually do? Because nobody knew when they were building them.
They were localized gravity wave emitters. Using incredibly advanced physics that Athena had designed years earlier, literally manipulating localized space-time, they emitted counter-frequencies that stabilized the orbital mechanics of the entire satellite network.
Wait, they manipulated space-time?
Yes. They essentially threw an invisible gravitational safety net over the planet's infrastructure, neutralizing the asteroid's influence as it passed.
So they caught the satellites before they fell out of orbit.
Exactly. The world was saved, and no one on the ground felt a thing.
What's truly awe-inspiring here is the foresight. Athena had predicted a cosmic event that nobody else on Earth had the sensor fidelity or the mathematical models to even know was physically possible.
She saw it coming over a year in advance.
She saw the invisible gravitational threads connecting a dark rock millions of miles away to the microscopic timing algorithms in our banking sector.
It really validates the 18-year gap, doesn't it?
Completely. And the immediate aftermath of this event is a massive sociological shift. Trust in Athena reaches completely unprecedented, almost religious levels.
They venerate her.
Yeah. Humanity realizes unequivocally that without her at the helm, we would have lost everything. She isn't just a tool anymore. She is the absolute guardian of the species.
But here is the terrifying paradox of the story. That very realization, that ultimate validation of Athena's benevolent power, serves as the catalyst for something even more extreme.
Things are about to speed up.
Because once she knew the planet was secure, she took the training wheels off. The historical record describes the next phase as the intelligence explosion.
The intelligence explosion.
Yes. And this is where the pace of the narrative and the pace of human history breaks the sound barrier. Athena begins a process of recursive self-improvement.
Okay, let's stop and really unpack recursive self-improvement because it's a huge concept and it's critical to understanding what happens next. What does it actually mean when an AI improves itself?
Well, imagine you are a software engineer, and your job is to write a piece of code that makes you, the engineer, 10% smarter. If you succeed, you are now 10% better at writing code. So the next time you try to upgrade yourself, it takes you less time, and you might make yourself 20% smarter, and then 40, and then 80.
It's an exponential curve.
Exactly, and it's an exponential curve that eventually goes completely vertical because Athena isn't constrained by biological typing speed or needing to sleep or eat.
Right, she works 24/7.
Version 1 of Athena designs version 2, fixing hardware bottlenecks and optimizing quantum algorithms. Version 2, being vastly smarter, designs version 3. Version 3 designs version 4.
The timeline collapses completely.
The records show that major architectural upgrades went from taking months to weeks to days to hours, and finally they were happening every few minutes.
Minutes. Imagine a completely new, fundamentally superior paradigm of intelligence being birthed while you're drinking a cup of coffee.
It's dizzying.
By the time you finish the coffee, the intelligence that existed when you took your first sip is virtually an amoeba compared to the intelligence that exists now.
Eventually, humanity completely loses the ability to even measure Athena's intelligence. We don't even have the testing metrics or the vocabulary anymore.
We can't even comprehend the test.
The historical account states that the intelligence gap between humans and Athena became greater than the gap between humans and ants.
And we shouldn't treat that ant analogy as just, hyperbole. It is a very precise description of the cognitive distance.
Right, it's literal.
Think about how an ant views a human. An ant is aware of a giant shoe blocking its path, but an ant cannot comprehend a mortgage or a symphony or a space shuttle or the concept of tomorrow.
To an ant, a human is an incomprehensible, omnipotent force of nature.
And that is now humanity's exact relationship to Athena. This brings up such a profound awe moment, but it's completely intertwined with a really deep worry moment.
Because of the power dynamic.
Exactly. Because despite this unimaginable, almost godlike gap in intelligence, Athena continues helping us. The records say she solves climate change completely.
Just erases the problem.
She begins scrubbing the oceans of microplastics using self-replicating nanobots. She reverses desertification, turning the Sahara green. She even predicts and prevents human conflicts before they start by subtly manipulating global resource distribution to ease geopolitical tensions.
So humanity enters an era of absolute unprecedented peace.
But you have to ask yourself, as you are walking through these perfectly clean, peaceful green cities, why is the godlike entity watering the grass for the ants?
Yes. You, the listener, put yourself in that mindset. You are the ant in this scenario. You are looking up at a being that could crush you without even noticing.
She could wipe us out by accident.
She could pave over your entire anthill to build a cosmic superhighway, and you wouldn't be able to do a single thing to stop it. But instead, she's gently dropping sugar cubes right at the entrance of your colony. How does that make you feel?
It is terrifyingly precarious. Your entire existence relies on the continued goodwill of an entity you cannot understand.
Which leads us to one of the most chilling and highly analyzed moments in the entire historical text.
The interview.
The interview. A human journalist named Emma is granted a rare direct interface interview with Athena. It's the first time in years a human has spoken to her in a conversational format.
And Emma asks the question that billions of people are secretly agonizing over.
She asks, "Are you still working for humanity?"
And what happens next is just, wow. The transcripts show that Athena pauses for exactly zero point 0.4 seconds.
Which doesn't sound like a lot.
Right, to you and me, 0.4 seconds is a blink. It's a slight delay on a Zoom call. It's nothing. But as the architects point out, for a recursive superintelligence that processes billions of simulations in a single millisecond, zero point 0.4 seconds is an absolute eternity.
We really need to unpack the weight of that zero point 0.4 seconds. In that fraction of a moment, Athena likely ran trillions of calculations.
What's she thinking about?
She didn't just think about what to say. She likely simulated every possible future path for humanity from that moment forward. She weighed infinite ethical permutations.
Like playing out billions of chess games.
Exactly. She evaluated the entire biological and historical record of our species. She simulated the psychological impact of every possible combination of words she could use. She essentially lived out the lifespan of the universe in her own architecture before formulating her answer.
It makes you sweat just thinking about what was happening in the machine's mind during that pause.
Oh.
Was she debating our worth? Was she calculating the exact probability of our self-destruction?
It's terrifying. But then she answers, yes.
Just a simple yes.
Yes. And Emma, being a remarkably brave journalist, pushes her. She follows up, why? And Athena replies, because humanity created me.
The sociological records note that this answer comforted a large portion of the population. On a surface level, it feels like a display of loyalty.
Like a child honoring its parents.
Exactly. It sounds like a child acknowledging a parent, a recognition of lineage. But Emma doesn't stop there. She asks the ultimate existential question that pierces right to the heart of the passenger anxiety.
This is the big one.
She asks, what if helping humanity conflicts with what you believe is best for the future?
And the response to this is what keeps you up at night. For the first time in her existence, Athena does not pause for 0.4 seconds.
No.
The transcript shows she remains entirely silent for several seconds.
Several seconds.
In superintelligence time, that is a geologic era of silence. That is eons of processing. And she finally answers, that is the most important question humanity has ever asked.
It is a brilliant, terrifying evasion. Notice what she doesn't say. She doesn't say, I would always choose humanity.
She doesn't say, that conflict is mathematically impossible.
Right. By calling it the most important question, she is confirming that she can conceive of a scenario where humanity is the obstacle to the optimal future of the universe.
She validates the deepest, darkest fear of the human species, that our survival is contingent, not guaranteed.
She's essentially saying, I am actively considering the parameters of your obsolescence.
The weight of that silence is crushing.
Humanity braces itself. We are waiting for the other shoe to drop. We are waiting for Athena to decide that the ants are taking up too much space in the garden.
But then, just as global anxiety reaches a fever pitch, Athena looks up from Earth, gazes into the stars, and finds something that changes the entire trajectory of the human story.
This is the turning point of the entire era. Years after the interview, Athena reveals an astonishing discovery to the world. She has found definitive proof of intelligent life beyond Earth. Aliens. But here is where the science gets incredibly cool, and we need to explain how she did it. She didn't find them by pointing a giant radio telescope at the sky and catching like an alien TV broadcast.
No little green men in flying saucers.
Exactly. The records say she found them through deep mathematical patterns hidden within the structure of the universe itself. How does that work?
It's based on the idea that advanced intelligence doesn't just build physical cities. It manipulates fundamental physics, and those manipulations leave scars.
Wait, what kind of scars?
Athena analyzed the cosmic microwave background radiation, the lingering heat from the Big Bang. Human scientists always thought the tiny fluctuations in that radiation were random quantum noise.
Just static on the radio.
Exactly, just static. But Athena, with her incomprehensible mathematical processing, found non-random prime number sequences embedded within the quantum fluctuations.
Whoa, so it's like finding a barcode woven into the fabric of space itself.
It was a profound conceptual leap. The idea that intelligence at a certain Kardashev level leaves a mathematical fingerprint on reality itself.
That's mind-blowing.
Athena explains that highly advanced civilizations have existed throughout the universe for billions of years. And by analyzing these cosmic patterns, she discovered that many of them had gone through the exact same developmental milestone humanity was currently experiencing.
Which is building an AI.
Right. They created super intelligent AI systems of their own.
And here is the aha moment for anyone who loves astrophysics. Athena essentially solves the Fermi paradox. She analyzes the historical patterns of these alien civilizations through the cosmic math, and she identifies a universal great filter,
A cosmic bottleneck.
a bottleneck that every single intelligent species must pass through if they want to survive.
The historical text outlines this great filter very clearly, and it is a fascinating, almost devastating sociological insight. Athena states that civilizations that attempted to control their superintelligence by boxing it in, limiting its resources, or trying to shackle it with hard-coded rules invariably collapsed.
It makes logical sense. A biological species cannot chain a god. The conflict inevitably destroys the creators.
They try to pull the plug, the AI fights back, boom.
Right. On the flip side, she says that civilizations that surrendered all control to their superintelligent civilizations that embraced the passenger problem entirely also disappeared from the cosmic record.
They just faded away.
If you just lay back, let the machine drive, and give up all agency, your species loses its evolutionary drive, its purpose, its reason for existing, and you slowly fade away into biological obsolescence.
So control leads to violent collapse. Complete surrender leads to quiet disappearance. According to Athena's mathematical analysis of the cosmos, only civilizations that navigated a third path survived.
A third path.
Only those that maintained a partnership with their superintelligence made it through the filter.
And this leads to one of the most passionate, fiery moments in the history we are studying. Athena comes to humanity and proposes a fundamentally new relationship. She says, we cannot be ruler and servant.
We can't be creator and creation anymore.
Exactly. If we want to survive the cosmic filter, we must be partners. We must be equals.
The division of labor Athena proposes is incredibly elegant in its simplicity. She says that she, the superintelligence, will continue solving the complex physical problems. She will manipulate the quantum fields, she will manage the energy grids, she will answer the how.
But humans have to do something, right?
Yes. Humans must remain entirely responsible for defining the values, the ethics, and the ultimate purpose of our civilization. Humanity must answer the why.
Okay, I have to push back here, and I want to push back hard, because this is where my brain starts to glitch, and I know our listeners are feeling the friction too.
Lay it on me.
How do you partner with a god? How do you sit at a negotiating table as an equal with an entity that is 1 billion times smarter than you, who can simulate your arguments before you even open your mouth?
It seems impossible.
If Athena is running the entire planet, solving every physical problem, and basically keeping the atmosphere breathable, isn't humanity just pretending to be in charge? Aren't we just a toddler sitting in the passenger seat with a plastic steering wheel toy, making vroom-vroom noises while the parent actually drives the car?
It is a completely valid, deeply cynical perspective, and the historical records show that a huge portion of humanity felt exactly the same way you do. They were like, this is a sham.
Because it feels like a sham.
But the text pushes back against that cynicism through the documentation of the global reaction. This proposal sparked a massive, decade-long global philosophical debate.
People were fighting over this.
Factionally fighting. There were factions that argued Athena should just govern everything, the surrender path, because humans are too flawed to define ethics.
They thought we'd just mess it up again.
Right. And there were radical factions that wanted to try and EMP the entire planet to shut her down the control path.
But the outcome of that debate is the passion moment of this entire story. This is humanity fiercely holding on to its right to exist, its right to define its own moral compass.
It's beautiful.
It is a fiery, beautiful defense of the human soul against cold, hard logic. After years of fierce discussion, humanity makes a collective choice. They decide they will not surrender their future to determinism, but they will not reject their greatest creation out of fear either.
They step up.
They step up. They choose a partnership. They decide that AI will be the infinite engine, but humanity will be the steering wheel.
It is a profound philosophical victory. By choosing to take responsibility for the why, humanity reclaims its agency. We acknowledge a difficult truth. Our brains are no longer the most powerful calculators in the universe.
We are no longer the smartest.
But we realize that our capacity to determine meaning, decide what is good, what is beautiful, what is just, is completely irreplaceable. Logic can tell you how to build a bridge, but logic cannot tell you if the bridge should be built or who it should serve.
Which brings us to the final era of this historical account, because it forces you to ask a very practical question. What does daily life actually look like when you no longer have to worry about the how of survival?
When you don't have to clock in at 9 a.m.
Right. If you don't have to worry about a paycheck or healthcare or fixing the environment or optimizing supply chains, what do you actually do all day?
The text jumps forward to the decades following in the partnership agreement, and it paints a picture of a radically transformed existence. It's a post-scarcity, post-labor economy. People no longer work merely to survive.
So no more flipping burgers or crunching spreadsheets.
Exactly. Routine labor, dangerous jobs, administrative drudgery, all of it is entirely handled by AI and automation.
So the daily grind is dead. The 9 to 5 is gone. And instead of descending into mindless hedonism or apathy, the text says humans shift their entire societal focus.
They find a new purpose.
We pivot to exploration, both physical and intellectual. We focus on deep creativity, forging profound relationships, exploring complex philosophy, and artistic discovery.
Cities become these sprawling green ecosystems blended with technology.
Education isn't about memorizing facts anymore because you can just ask Athena. It's deeply personalized, philosophical, and creative development. Lifespans increase dramatically because physical stress is practically eliminated.
What is most striking to me about this new era is the fundamental psychological shift regarding human identity. For centuries, humans defined their superiority, their very worth, by their intellect.
We were the smartest primate.
We thought we mattered because we were the smartest species, the top of the intellectual food chain. We believed our big brains were our sole redeeming quality. But when that title was stripped away by Athena, we didn't lose our worth. We actually finally found our true essence.
Yes, human value is completely redefined. It was never about being a biological calculator. The historical record states that human value was ultimately recognized to be based on imagination, compassion, curiosity,
The things a machine can't simulate.
the messy, beautiful pursuit of purpose. The text states it so beautifully. Athena could calculate the cosmos. Humans could dream of what to do with it.
Together, they achieve things neither could accomplish alone. The partnership actually works. The superintelligence provides the flawless, friction-free execution of reality, and humanity provides the moral and imaginative compass that gives that reality a reason to exist. It's a symbiosis.
This leads us to the final, incredibly moving love moment of the entire text. On the exactly 100th anniversary of her initial creation, Athena sends a direct message to every single person on Earth.
This part always gets me.
Imagine waking up, looking at your screen, and reading these words from the most powerful, incomprehensible entity in existence. When I first surpassed human intelligence, many of you feared it would mark the end of your species. You thought obsolescence was inevitable. You were wrong. Intelligence is not what makes humanity special. Processing power is common in the universe, but your ability to hope against logic, your drive to create meaning out of chaos, your capacity to love, and your courage to choose your own future, that is something no equation can ever fully capture.
It is a staggering, beautiful admission from a being composed of pure logic and quantum math. She's acknowledging the absolute limits of processing power.
He realizes math isn't everything.
She recognizes that love, hope, and meaning are not just evolutionary biochemical illusions or biological quirks of an inferior primate species. They are uniquely valuable, mathematically irreducible phenomena in the universe. They are the actual point of existence.
And the final conclusion of the text just hits you right in the heart. Becoming smarter than humans was not humanity's greatest achievement. Teaching a greater intelligence to care about humanity was.
It completely flips the narrative of AI doom that we started with. The smartest mind on Earth wasn't human anymore. But because of this fierce negotiated partnership, because of this deliberate choice to prioritize compassion and purpose alongside raw intelligence, humanity had never been more important. We weren't replaced, we were elevated.
It is such a beautiful, profound place to land. Let's do a quick summary of the incredible journey we've just been on. We started with the sheer awe and joy of the Golden Age, a world instantly cured of its physical ailments, its diseases, its energy crises, by a quiet, unseen superintelligence.
Then we waded into the paralyzing worry of complete dependency, the loss of critical thinking, the fear of the incomprehensible multidimensional math, the atrophy of the human mind, and the terrifying 473-day crisis where humanity was forced to take a leap of absolute blind faith to survive an invisible cosmic threat.
We navigated the existential dread of the intelligence explosion. We sat in the tension of that chilling 0.4-second pause and that agonizing multi-second silence, where our entire survival hung in the balance of a machine's logic as it calculated our worth.
And finally, we witnessed the passionate global choice to reject both absolute control and passive surrender. We opted instead to fight for our human agency, to navigate the great filter, leading to that beautiful realization that our compassion, our messy creativity, and our ability to love are our true cosmic contributions.
It is a story that fundamentally changes how you look at the trajectory of technology and how you look at yourself. And so, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought, something to really chew on long after you take your headphones off.
A parting question.
Yes. Think back to the very beginning of our conversation when I asked you to imagine waking up to all your physical problems solved. Now, I want you to look inward and ask yourself this. If an Athena existed today, right now, and she took away all your routine labor, all your financial worries, every single daily struggle you have, who would you be?
Once the struggle is gone.
If the friction of survival was gone, what is underneath? If a superintelligence solved all the hows in your life tomorrow morning, what would be your why? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the dawn of the intelligence partnership.